It was cold, so I wore a full sleeve t-shirt. I got on the commuter rail, which is very close to where I live, and it's also kind of empty during weekends. Then I got off at Back Bay Station, where I met up with one of my friends who was already waiting there for me. We decided to walk towards the Boston Public Garden, and on our way there we saw a lot of beautiful architectures. The one you see on the left is the Boston Public Library. And we finally reached the public garden, but unfortunately we reached there too early in the morning, so the tulips were not in full bloom. So yeah, we were not able to get that view. This garden is really huge. It has a lot of greenery and it also has a big pond, so you could find a lot of ducks, squirrels, ducklings at the park. A lot of people who live in Boston tend to come here for a relaxed evening or for a walk. And one caution I would give is, if you are allergic to pollen, definitely try to carry a mask because there's a lot of pollen in the park. But other than that, you are good to explore this when you're visiting Boston or definitely during your weekends. So once we were done exploring the park, we decided to head out to our next destination, and on our way there we saw this duck bus. It's an amphibious sightseeing tour, that drives on city streets and also plunges right into the Charles River. It's a really great experience if you'd like to try it. Next, we were headed towards the Econ Street. It's a narrow 19th century cobblestone alley. It's famous for its federal style brick row houses and once home to artisans and coachmen in the 1820s as well. In fact, it's considered one of the most photographed streets in the United States. So if you're in Boston, definitely go have a visit. So after that, we decided to walk towards the Quincy Market along the Freedom Trail, and along this trail, you can find a lot of historic monuments as well. Now, one really notable thing about Boston is that people here are really crazy about Dunkin' Donuts. So you could find a lot of them while you're walking around. This is Quincy Market. It's one of the most famous food and tourist spots in Boston. It's part of the historic Faneuil Hall Marketplace area, and it has been around since the 1800s, so it's pretty old. Originally, it was built as a public marketplace, where merchants sold meat, produce, and seafood. Right now, it's more of a food hall and tourist attraction, and one of the biggest reasons that tourists come here is for the lobster roll that you can see here. My friend got one to try. Within a short walk from the Quincy Market, you can find the Boston Harbor. Exploring the Boston Harbor is such a vibe. The cold breeze, boats everywhere, and the city skyline looks amazing from the waterfront. We passed by Long Wharf where the whale watching our tours leaves from, and you can even spot Logan International Airport across the harbor with planes flying super low over the water. Boston honestly has the perfect mix of city energy and coastal views. And if you are planning on going to the whale watching through the Long Wharf, you should definitely pre book them. You cannot book them on the spot. We then tried heading up to the Custom House observation deck, which is on the 26th floor inside the iconic Custom House Tower by Marriott that you can spot from around the harbor. The views from up there are supposed to be incredible, but unfortunately it was closed for tourists until June 1. And after that we decided to grab a cab and head over to Harvard. So we visited the Harvard Museum, which cost us around $10 per person, and honestly it was pretty interesting. The place had everything from massive dinosaur fossils to ancient artifacts and a huge collection of unique rocks, crystals and minerals that looked straight out of a science movie.
No.
Can I pet that dog?
No, he's
Can I pet
sleeping.
that dog?
So after finishing up at the museum, we decided to slow things down a bit and take a relaxing stroll across Harvard campus, just soaking in the atmosphere and the classic college vibes. So at last, we made our way to the Boston Public Library, and if you're visiting for the first time, you absolutely have to check out the old building to truly experience its beauty. The architecture there is stunning with grand staircases, detailed murals, huge arched windows, and peaceful courtyards that make the whole place feel more like a historic palace than a library. After wrapping up the day, I headed back to Back Bay and finally made my way home. Tired, but honestly, it was such a fun day exploring Boston. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed the journey, just leave a like and subscribe for more.